And I am going to share the screen and I'm going to do it as a full screen. There we go. So thank you for being here. And whether you are here live or you are watching the replay, I'm April Goff Brown. I am a certified quantum human design specialist, an intuitive life journey guide, and a life coach and an author. And there's a bunch of other things, but those are the things that are important today. And I'm really happy that you are here. So here's the premise for today's topic. We are all born perfectly designed. I truly believe that. The more I study human design, the more I believe that. The fact is that life happens and life is conditioning. And no matter what kind of work we're doing, that in the wellness community or life coaching or mental health or spiritual community, I think we see that life presents us conditioning, and then we need to find a way to work back to our design. We are designed to be abundant human beings, and your human design is filled with abundance in all sorts of places in the chart. As I studied the gate themes over the past year, themes just kept coming up over and over and over again. And what's really interesting is I organized this presentation. I reorganized it several times over because some of the gates fit almost everywhere. And I think you'll see that as we get going with this. But first, I just want to share some basics of human design. First, human design is the science of differentiation. It borrows from ancient teachings into this single system that helps us understand how we are in this lifetime. Most people will only learn what their type is, their strategy, because it's part of the type, your authority, and perhaps you'll know your profile numbers. And so, and that is as far as many people go. You may also learn, especially if you had a reading done, you're going to learn about your definition and the openness in the centers. And those are all the shapes that are in the body graph that you'll be seeing shortly. But the depth of your design is in your gates, as far as I'm concerned. It is where the details, the depth of how you are really comes to play. And so let's look at abundance first for a second. Abundance here is not necessarily about the traditional way that we tend to look at it, particularly in this culture of ours, is the amassing of money, the amassing of success, the amassing of power. It's all about the material elements of life. And yet abundance is so much more than that. I remember years ago somebody saying to me, well, he who dies with the most toys wins. And that's really not where we have evolved to when we talk about abundance. And so it's really a mindset. And there was a quote that I read from Tony Robbins that says that it's a belief that there are enough resources in the world for everyone, which is very opposite of a scarcity mindset, that what's mine is mine and I have to keep getting it, because if I don't get mine, then you might take mine away from me. And it's not that at all. And that also an abundance mindset is one that favors our personal and spiritual growth. And so it's with this in mind that I look at abundance and in individuals in the human capacity, and it shows everywhere in human design. So let's look at, we're going to be looking at the in the free handout that I have called 5 Keys to Unlocking Your Abundance. I'm going to follow those keys, and in this presentation, I'm going to show you where those live within human design. And one thing for you to know is that you have all of the chart. We might focus only on what is defined for us in our centers or what's defined for us in our gates, but it is important for you to understand that you have all of the chart. And that's why it's important to know where abundance lies, because it might be in a defined gate for you, but it might be in one that is open. Oops, I'm going backwards. So I want to go backwards. So the first key to abundance is that it is important for us to be true to ourselves. It starts in gate one. And um, for those of you that know human design, I am not using traditional titles, nor am I using the titles from quantum human design. What I've done is I've synthesized the information into an essential theme. And so gate one is authentic self-expression. This is about being who you are. That the more authentic you are means that you are living much more aligned to how you are meant to be. It is about finding your purpose. It is about living your purpose. It is when we come to know ourselves and we can live as ourselves that we can find that happiness, and then have a life that is not free from struggle, because life is about struggle, but that is one where we can work through the challenges and work through the struggles and have those help us understand a little bit more about who we are. And that gate is in our identity center. Now, as we look at the next gate, it's gate two, which is in tradition, it's about the gate of allowing. It's a receptive gate. Gate one is the very yang gate of action. Gate two is a yin gate of receptivity. And it is about receiving and allowing you to be who you are. It is about really aligning to yourself, to your design, who you are meant to be. Both of those gates are here in the identity center. And so we start off right at the get-go of being true to ourselves as part of keys to human design. I'm sorry, I'm keep on going backwards. The next gate is in our will center, gate 26, which is a gate of integrity. It is about living. It's about not only just knowing who you are, but it is also about knowing what you believe and what your values are and living into that integrity. Now, I believe it's gate 26 that also in traditional human design is referred to as a gate of a salesman. And so here there is a lot of persuasion, but it's also being able to do that with a sense of integrity as to who you are and how you are. So that again, it is about being true to who you are, and that you're not selling something just for the purposes of massing those materialistic abundance parts. It is about really mastering the inner abundance of who you are. And tied with that is gate 44, which is living your truth. And I'm just going to show, looking at my arrow here, is that gate 26 and gate 44 connect into a full channel. That gate 44 is about living your truth, being alert to the truth, and living in integrity. And those are so intertwined together that the more we live in that truth of who we are, how we are, that we are in a much more abundant way of being. And if it wasn't enough to have it in those four gates, the fifth gate that I found is gate 46, which I call authentic embodiment. It is, in one sense, there's a physicality to this gate about making sure that you are honoring your body, that you are taking care of it, because that is about being true to the physical part of yourself. But it also is embodying, again, those values and beliefs and truths that you feel, that you see, that you know are you. And when I was pulling this together, I moved gate 46 3 times because it shows up in the intention, the meaning in gate 46 shows up in so many different areas, but ultimately put it that in being true to yourself is also about authentic embodiment of it. So you can see, just looking at 5 gates in human design, one of those may be defined for you, maybe none of them are, but you have all of the chart. And gate 46 is this walk your talk energy. The closer you become to your authentic self, the more you can embody your talk, your beliefs, and people will will see that authenticity inside of you. Now, sometimes we're presented with challenges that help us figure out who we really are. So I want to talk about two gates here that I think are important for being true to ourselves. And one is gate 28 down here in the spleen, which is about struggle and adventure. And I call risk and reward. That we are presented with challenges and obstacles and struggles in this lifetime. That's what life is. But if we sit simply with a victim mentality, like, woe is me, and why is this always happening to me, we're never going to be able to find our abundance. It is a mindset, again, of what did I learn from this? Yes, it sucked. Okay, in plain English. I wish this didn't happen to me. It's unfortunate that this happened to me. But when we can work through the emotions that and the pain of those challenges, being able to sit back and say, okay, so what did I learn from either the situation or what brought the situation on? So whether it hurts because you lost a job that you really, really, really loved, what did you learn from being in that job? What did you learn from losing the job? And how do you bring that forward into how you are as you meet the other challenges? Because one thing that I've seen over and over is that we're presented with the same lessons over and over and over again until we really learn them. They might be presented in different ways. And so the risk and reward becomes an important piece to understand that being true to ourselves means that we have to grow. And we grow when there are struggles. We don't only grow when there are struggles, but this is a big, big gate for 2024, and it's the gate of shock, number 51. It is in the will center. Gate 51 figures prominently in human design in 2024. It is in the north nodes in astrology are in gate 51 right now. The Chiron, the wounded healer Chiron planet is going to be in gate 51 for a lot of the year, and it just stays here. So we can anticipate growth. We can anticipate the risks and the challenges that may come out of gate 28, but it is designed not to beat us down, but shock causes disruption, causes chaos. And it is when we are in that we begin to find out more about who we are. And so it's not just the nice, pretty parts of who we are in looking at 1, 2, 44, 26, but looking at that there's challenges that are built into our chart, are that are built into our lives to help us come to know who we are. And so be aware, be prepared that you might experience some shocks and disruption and some chaos in 2024. And that is just where we are in the universe today. Theme of abundance that I found, and I see this in so many gates. I may have to find a different way of hitting my arrow, so please bear with. I have to look where I'm shooting, obviously, right? Is strengthen your partnership with spirit. This is the second theme of abundance, because throughout human design, and particularly quantum human design, which is where I've done my study, is that spirit source is everywhere in human design. And I'm going to show you some of the gates where it is obvious where it is. We're going to start with gate 55, which is the abundance of spirit. And so, I mean, it's literally right there in the chart. This is around faith. It is about having a faith in a higher power, however you should call that universal energy, whether it's a spirit, source, universe, God, whatever it is. The name is nowhere near as important as it is to understand that there is this energy, this essence that is greater than us. and that it is there, and things are going to come to us in the time that they are supposed to come to us. It is not, we are not designed, as I think I mentioned already, we're not designed to struggle and be in a place of want all the time, but we are designed to be in this place of abundance. And so, really clearly, abundance of spirit, faith in something greater than ourselves is a real key. Gate 22, being open to what is, it is also called a gate of spirit. It is trusting in the universal flow of abundance that comes from spirit and knowing that we're going to be provided for what we need when we need it. It is again this trust in spirit that allows you to relinquish control. And I think this is a big thing around the abundance of spirit is we need to relinquish our need to control the outcome, control our life, because really we aren't in control. It is a partnership, and we're going to see that where that shows up in just a minute. It is learning how to know what you can affect and what you can't. And so when I think of abundance and spirit, um, as being the second key of abundance, I also am reminded of the serenity prayer. And I think you'll see the serenity prayer in this section a lot, which is to accept the things you cannot change, to have the courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Gate 20 in the throat center is about being present. It is about being, not doing. It is allowing life to flow through you. It's about not worrying about what could happen or what did happen, but it is simply living in the present. And again, the message in this gate is to trust that the universe is going to bring you what you need when the time is right. And that is also about that trust of spirit, is about the divine timing. Gate 25, calling it the innocence of love, it is again that connection with your higher power. Learning to love everything and everyone around us is having a purpose in this world. It is being able to look at life kind of with that innocent love that a child has. I mean, if you've got a grandchild in your life, you know that they just, and they're young, they just love you for no reason other than you exist. Okay. And that's the kind of love we're talking about, is loving with the fullness of that child. And to know that this partnership you have with the divine force is going to allow you to connect deeply inside of yourself with the innocence and acceptance that spirit is working through you. Gate 54, coming down into the root center, is a partnership with spirit. Life is a partnership with spirit. You're not in control. We just don't, the more we push, the more we try to control, the harder life is, because we aren't really paying attention to what we have before us. And we are so caught up in the form of what we want, as opposed to the essence of what is the best thing for us. And then becoming comfortable with the unknown, looking up at this head gate here. In quantum human design, it's called divine transference. But here, the head center is a pressure center of wanting to know things. And we think about that we've been conditioned that we make our decisions up in our mind. The reality is that the head center is a source of inspiration, and we're not designed to know everything. And so part of having this partnership with the spirit is becoming comfortable with what we don't know, and trusting that what we need to know will be revealed to us when the time is right. The third key is living in possibility. It is really about a mindset. Going back to the quote on abundance, that is about an abundance in mindset. Gate 4 starts us off right away up here in the Ajna about formulating possibility. It's about options. It's about opportunities that a lot of things can be true. It's not an either or that I'm right, you're wrong. This is the way it is, that's the way it shouldn't be. It is about sometimes recognizing that both and can be true at the same time. It is knowing that we may not have the answer, but there are multiple answers, perhaps, to one particular question. It's which one would work best for you may not be the one that works best for me. So the idea of possibility shows up right away in a gate that the theme is called formulating possibility. We come back to the unknown again when we look at gate 47, again, back up there in the ajna. Quantum human design calls it mindset. It's about sorting the unknown. So if 64 up here was about becoming comfortable with the unknown, 47 is taking the unknown and trying to sort it out to kind of make it make sense. When you've got a defined head and ajna, this is the work that it becomes somewhat easier for you to do because you look at the world in a consistent way. Those where it is open, where it is white, it just swirls around and remains an unknown for a long time until, oh, all of a sudden it became known you can use it because it was there when you needed it. It's a great way of being able to, when you have those aha moments, that's when the unknown got sorted into something that you needed at the time that you needed it. It is a mindset of knowing that failures are simply opportunities to learn. It is not the end of everything. When it's a closed mindset, we look at, then I failed. And it's really not. It's an opportunity to keep on learning and growing because that's what we're here to be able to do. Understand also that we're not here to play small. Again, abundance is all over the chart. We're designed to take that inspiration and recognize that if we did quote unquote fail, that it could probably have been that it wasn't just the right time for it now. And so pop it away in the back of your mind, put it up on a wall that you'll come back to it another time when the timing is much more right. 61 is a gate of mystery and wonder. It's exploring all the possibilities that are coming into the head. I can see the head gate's going to figure very prominently here and in the next one. When we sort through the inspiration that comes in, we are sorting through and coming up with possibilities, not answers. This is not the place that we find the answers. We find the answers within our body, within our decision-making authority, when you know what that is. This is where the possibilities lie. And release the pressure to figure everything out. You're not designed to figure every single thing out. Sometimes it just is. It just is. There's not an answer to every single why question that we might be able to come up with. And then we look here at 63, also in the head, being open to the world. Again, we are not going to know everything. So if you've got these gates defined that we just talked about, it is important to know that you aren't going to know everything. We're not designed to know everything. Curiosity and questioning, the idea of being open to possibility, is what allows us to grow. It allows us to evolve and it allows us to seek information. Know that new information may challenge you. It may challenge what you believe. It may challenge your opinion. But that's what life is all about, because life is designed for us to continue to grow into our abundance. Now, the big one is learning to love all of ourselves. And self-love is right smack in the chart in the G center with gate 10, which is called love of the self. Love of the self. We are designed to love ourselves. And yet, it's one of the hardest things in the world to do, isn't it? It is really, really a struggle. I will tell you, I can remember there was a time that every time I looked in the mirror, I would tell myself something that I didn't like about how I looked or how I was. And I found that, how many times are we not nice to ourselves or unkind to ourselves in what we say. And I had to stop when I started learning about all of this. I had to stop and go back in the mirror. After I did it, I would come out and I'd go back in the mirror and I'd look at myself and I would have to now tell myself three nice things because I had to do at least three nice things for every one thing that I said that was bad. And so I now find that when I go by a mirror, I look at the image and I just smile at her, just smile. It's nice that you're here. Aren't you great? And I just leave it at that. But it's took a while to be able to come to that of that self-acceptance, that self-love. And this is big business. We all know that it's a big business to try to get people to love themselves and to find ways to do it. And so it might be something as simple as looking in the mirror and saying, April, I love you. I love you, April. And doing this a few times over. One of my colleagues has is asked me to try something out, and it really, really did work with the tapping and just tapping the heart center, just gently tapping the heart center as I say to myself, April, I love you. And if you repeat this, what you're going to find is that the tone of your voice changes. It softens. It becomes much more loving. And when you do this often enough, you begin to feel that love of yourself, which is so important for an abundant life. Because if you don't love yourself, how do you expect anybody else to? How can you expect anybody else to? Okay, we got to go. Oh, I am sorry about this. We got through possibility. We're been okay. Another one in gate 5 is understand your natural with rhythm. That part of loving yourself is to accept that you have a rhythm that is unique to you. And this becomes, I think, even more important for those who do not have that defined sacral, because you're not designed to keep on going and going and going like 70% of the world is. So understand your natural rhythm. Understand that when it comes time for you to stop and rest, that's what you need to do, because then you are honoring yourself, and then by doing that, again, showing that love of yourself. um, you might be designed to be a consistent, to have consistent practice, consistent rhythm, and that is great. But if you don't, and you're being made to believe that you should, stop it, because you don't have to. You need to understand your rhythm and find out what works for you. And your rhythm may be that you're really not very consistent. And that, my friend, is okay. Gate 27 down here in the sacral is nourishing with boundaries. Now, this is this is a gate that is a tribal gate, which means that we really are looking at nourishing others within the tribe. But the reason I put it in self-love is that it is acknowledging that I have boundaries, that I am not selfless enough, that I put everybody else first before I put myself first. In human design, we are really, really talking about the idea of loving ourselves enough that we take care of ourselves enough so that we can give the best of ourselves to others. And so it is also about nourishing ourselves by recognizing that we have boundaries that we need to adhere to, that we put in place, that are not just protection, but it allows us to fully take care of ourselves. And so this one can fit, this gate fits in self-love, but you can also see that it fits in the fourth key, which is about honoring ourselves. So you can see they play in different areas. Stick to the right here. Gate 58, joy of living. To quote a very good friend of mine who is a joy advocate, we are joy. It is here in the chart. We are joy. Loving ourselves is joy. We are meant to be here and be in this place of joy, which goes back to possibility, which goes back to being true to ourselves. That when we can be that, have that open mindset and to feel the wonder of the world and to be able to love ourselves, that we can live in that true sense of joy that we feel deep, deep within us. And I'm going to say deep inside the gut. I mean, it's there that just it it can't go anywhere else because it's just radiates throughout the body. And so living in joy, the gate of joy, is part of loving ourselves. And then how we do that, gate 13, and it's going to play in the next section as well. Um, the theme is listening with the heart, that there is narrative and storytelling inside human design. And this is about listening with the heart to listen to the stories of your life. As I said, you're born perfectly designed, and then life happens. Life is conditioning. Listen to the stories and listen to, yes, this happened. What is your interpretation? Is that a conditioned interpretation of your story? And if it is, what is the real story? How do you find that? How do you work through the emotions of that story that um, maybe somebody else told you something about yourself over and over and often enough that you came to believe it, but it's really not true. And so this becomes the work of so many of us, whether it's going through coaching or therapy or reading or journaling. This is about learning to listen with our heart to the stories, to the narratives we have, and finding out which one of those need to be released, because those limiting beliefs rob us of our joy and rob us from loving ourselves fully. Key number 4 to an abundant life is honoring ourselves. Gate 40, restoration. In quantum human design, the theme is honor yourself. This is such an important gate for everybody, whether it's defined or not, because it tells us the will center is designed to work and to rest. Gate 40 is about honoring your body, honoring your spirit, honoring your emotion by taking care of yourself. Self-care lives here. And however you take care of yourself, we think of self care, oh, well, I got to do yoga, I got to learn how to meditate, I've got to do all these different things. It's yes and no to that kind of thinking. Self care is about doing for you in your daily life that does bring you joy, that helps bring you to yourself. Is it sitting quietly for 5 minutes with a cup of tea where nobody bothers you? Is it having a morning ritual where you journal? Is it being able to read fiction that takes you out of your immediate world? It's any of those things that helps restore you to allow you to rest so that your energy can regroup. Okay. That's what we talk about when we look at gate 40, honoring yourself, honoring the being that you are by recognizing when you need to stop doing. And that becomes really important for the generator types, and especially manifesting generators who like to do. This gate is important. In your design, you are also designed to be still and to be. Coming back to gate 13, because I want to bring in 33, which connects to 13. Gate 33 is reframing that narrative. So these work in harmony is that you've listened with your heart, you've recognized that these stories, these limiting beliefs are not true. How do you reframe your narrative to a place of empowerment that honors you? That's abundance. Reframing your story coming to a place that empowers you is honoring yourself. Um, and it is something that it takes courage to do. It takes courage to listen with your heart. When I was doing some prep on this, I had pulled an oracle card and it was the lion in one of the decks, and that leaning into the courage of your heart. And so when we lean into the courage of our heart and we lean into our stories and reframing them with courage to empower ourselves, we begin to honor ourselves, which feeds into that self-love again. Gate 52, another being gate, taking time to be. This means allowing the pressure to do to subside. Okay, it is important. This is in the root. This is a pressure center. It's about timing. When it is open, we feel like we have 100 things on a list that keeps on growing and growing, no matter what you check off. This is about taking the time to be, to allow yourself to be still, stepping back, getting an eagle eye view on what's going on. Some of those things don't have to be done. You can just simply cross them off. They're busy work. Are they really something that you have to do? Cross off the busy work, allow yourself to be. It is a way of honoring yourself. And the last gate that I talk about in this section is gate 57, which is in the spleen, the center of intuition. This is intuitive clarity. Every single one of us has intuition. It is in our design, okay? Because we all have all of the chart. It is when we choose to not listen to it that we get ourselves in trouble. When we honor our intuition, we don't let our mind override intuition. We don't allow the sacral do to override our intuition. That we are honoring ourselves. We have to honor our intuitive sense and learn to listen to it, learn to hear it, because when we don't, we deny a key part of ourselves. And our intuition is there to be our guide, our watch it, this isn't safe. The spleen harbors the fears. It's that fight or flight response. Your intuition is there to give you the pulse in the moment of, oh, wait a minute, this may not be right. Stop, take a step back and see what is happening with it. And so that is the idea of honoring yourself. Remember that you have all of the chart. We all do. You were born perfectly designed. Abundance lives in your design. Conditioning or life can diminish your abundance, and you have a divine right to choose to reclaim it. And with that, I am going to stop the share because the hand up is mine. I talk with my hand, and I found that Zoom puts my hand up every time I talk. So I want to give you time for any questions that you have or any of your thoughts, as in this small group that we have.
Oh. So how did you come up with grouping these? Like where did that come from to think about doing it this way and choosing which ones go together?
Well, over the last year, I've been studying the gates, and my heart project number one was to put them together in some kind of a journal form. Because I see that there's a lot of wisdom in the gates, and I see that there's a lot of wisdom for humanity, period, in human design. And as I was doing that, I kept seeing certain themes come up over and over again. And so last December, I decided I wanted to go through it and see where some themes were. And so that's how they popped up to me. But as you can see, like gate 46 could show up in several places. A couple of the spirit gates showed up elsewhere. So it's and I know that right timing shows up in gate 12 as well as 57 as well as 20 as well as others. It's all about waiting and all of that. Because the only design that doesn't have to wait necessarily is the manifester. Every other one of us has to do some waiting. Um, so it was looking at the words as I was writing them out for myself that the themes came up. And as late as this morning, I was moving things around. So I don't know that it's definitive, but it kind of fits where I am today. So, that's what's the book is the journal is almost done. But I know I've got a little bit more to be able to do with it, but that's how it got birthed is the idea of I did post every 6 days in 2023, depending where the sun transited, which gate it was in. And so I was doing the research looking for the wisdom in the gate, and that's how all of the content evolved over time to this interpretation that I have.
Very interesting, I
Yeah,
find.
so yeah, I mean, it's the way I created this and with the journal is for the person as an individual. Um, I know that there is circuitry in human design that's individual, tribal, and collective. And some of these gates are really tribal or collective gates. But if we don't also figure them out for ourselves, we're not going to be able to bring it out for the greater collective. And so like I know on 13 there's the listening with the heart is called the listener in traditional design. It's about being confident, listening to people's stories without judgment, helping them shape. So it is a gate that also looks outside of ourselves. But if we can do it for ourselves as well, we then are more readily able to do it for someone else because we understand. Or if we've done it for somebody else, now look in, well, how come I can do it for Sue and I can't do it for me?
Yeah.
Okay, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So yeah, it's a Karen Curry Parker talks about how you use it is right for you. And within the gates, if we are at our highest expression, um, we are living aligned to our design and things are working well, but there is the opposite of um, the low expression, the shadow side, so even with and I didn't like within power, there's a gate 34 which is about power. Power is really meant about power that enables, empowers, helps the collective, the larger, not for the ego. So when we amass power for ego, it's really the shadow side. It's really not the design of how humanity is designed to be. And so it's looking at all of that. But for this, let's look at where it lives. How well are you doing? Are you finding that you struggle in that area? And if so, how can you how can you work through it? And
Gotcha.
I think that's one of the beauties of this tool, for me. Yeah. And Marianne is my joy advocate friend, by the way.
Oh,
I saw her kind of laugh, but yeah, it was the first time I heard the phrase "we are joy" was from her. And it's like, okay, I got to really work on that one. I got to think about that one. I got to feel my way through it. And what, 3 years later, I think 3 or 4 years later, because that's how long we've known each other, she's absolutely right. Always has been right. So yeah, my joy advocate friend, we are joy. We're designed to be joy.
Yes.
We just don't believe it sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my question on this 58, the living in joy. Mine's white, so it's not, it's,
What it means,
what is it? It's,
so when
it's
we look at the
open.
gates that are defined and not defined, the definition means that it's readily accessible in your chart. And so one of your planets might be Saturn. So your say Saturn was in 58 and was defined for you. That means your big life lesson is that you need to learn how to live in joy. Okay. When it is white, you have access to it and then you amplify it because you're receiving the joy energy from those who do have it. And so it's about the amplification. So for you to be, for joy to be such a big part of you, um, I know some of your story, and I know you didn't always feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And as you found it through other people and you've been able to find it and bring it into yourself, that you've been able to own it. So you have the access to that energy because you can you're embodying it and amplifying it and then sharing that with others. So just because it's not there doesn't mean you don't have it, because that's why it's important. We have all of the chart.
Mm-hmm.
The only things we pay attention to are what's defined, and that's the mistake because there's so much wisdom. And like, I know how much joy you have. You've taken it in until the point that it is so part of you that it can't ever leave you.
Right.
It
Yeah.
can't ever leave you.
So
Yeah.
is it safe to say that something that's not defined in your chart would be something you might have to work a little bit harder at?
It might be energy that you've got to seek out. That's why the transits um, can be helpful, because every single gate lights up for 6 days every single year. Okay,
Right.
because it transits. So, for example, we are in, the sun is in gate 49 right
Yeah.
now, and the earth in 4, which is possibility. So we have the ability. The other thing is when we look at, and this is where the astrology part comes in, when we look at the life return charts. So the first Saturn return around age 38, the Chiron return around age 48, the Uranus return. Uranus return is opposition is in 38, so first Saturn might be 28. And so when we look at all of those, when you look at your chart, different gates are lit up. And so those energies seem to be much more readily available to you. So use them, because they're energies that you can access much more freely. And the same thing with the solar return. And I love doing them because your sun and earth are right back where they started from when you were born, but the rest of the gates changed a little bit. And right now, everybody's north node is in 51, the gate of shock. We are all having to grow to learning how to handle disruption in our lives. So whether it's defined for you or not, the north node for everybody's solar return right now, because I pulled about 5 of them and they're all the same. So is that gate of shock. We have lessons to learn about disruption in our lives and disruption in our community and disruption in our country, disruption in the globe, and how we're going to react to that, and to look at how we're going to grow. So yeah, it may mean that you have to work harder at it. It may mean that you're going to if it's something that you're having to work on, it also could mean that somebody has entered your life that has that gate defined, that you're able to borrow that energy from them. That's why sometimes when people are stuck, or a lot of openness, they'll say, you got to work on something, take your laptop, go to Starbucks, go to Panera, go somewhere where you can sit with a coffee and work, because you're absorbing energy from people, that you might need.
That's
So,
interesting.
there are people
Is
that do
that
that.
when it's open or when it's
Well, it's
So
just that, when it's open and or it's something that you're struggling with, that's an energy that you're struggling with, then place yourself in some place where that energy might be
yeah.
in the room that your energy is borrowing from. It's just tapping into,
Hmm.
it's tapping into the energy source over there subconsciously. They don't know it, you don't know it, but all of a sudden it might be, oh, that's what it is. And that clarity comes. Okay. So when you're stuck, um, you might need to get out of the environment you're in and go somewhere else just to experience the new flows, other kinds of flow that is around you, so that you can and for some it's going like that. For somebody else it might be, well, you know what, I need to release everything. So yesterday I did a float, and boy, just like came out of there like jello. Everything was gone. I hadn't fell asleep in it. And so there was like allowing that openness again for other stuff to come in, so the blockages went away.
Hmm.
So that's the fun about energy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Would that be too stimulating? I mean, like my head and my ajna is open completely,
Yeah, I hear you.
So, I mean, like for me, even when the kids come on, we have a house full of
Right,
kids and everything and dogs and whatever. I mean, that's just like, there's times when I have to just go outside and take a break
right,
because I have to, it's just like overstimulating for
right,
me. So
right.
crowds are not my thing. Never have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it is, and how do where and how will you get the energy that, is needed if you need it? Okay. Um, and I don't know if that's an open head and ajna kind of just thing that you're describing, because I have the same issue, that I can be, and I do become overwhelmed. I do have a lot of openness in my chart, and I can become really overwhelmed, and I need to separate from that. Um, and so it's like you've absorbed the energy. Now you need some of that quiet to process
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
energy
Yeah.
and let it, what you don't need, to just flow back out. And the stuff that you do need, your all of this is going to say, oh, and maybe that's where our ahas come from.
Yeah.
It very well could be. It's, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
because that's processed out, and now we're keeping what we need.
Mhm.
So it's like, so I would, and as I'm saying that, it's like, when your phone is on 10% and you can only have 15 minutes to plug it in. So you got it to 30%. Okay. Maybe that's what, that maybe that's an image of it.
Hmm,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah. It's fascinating stuff. It just,
It is fascinating. I agree. Very much so.
Yeah.
um, yeah. And, it's like you take this, and I know, Sue, that this is an area that, I think you have been studying a bit and want to study further, is to take it and see what parts of this work for you. You
Yeah.
know, um, I know in the traditional, one of the things that I've heard um, from people around the traditional human design is that there's a lot of, I'm going to use the word negativity, but I don't think it's meant to be that, but there's a lot of the shadow side, because when Ra discovered this, it was given to him, he saw it as a way of teaching adults how to raise children. Okay. How to not beat them down with conditioning, but to give them conditioning that supports their design. And so it's wading through sometimes the traditional teachings, because you got to wade through some of that hard stuff. And I know it's there. Okay. And I see that for me, the way I live, I'm one of the last eternal optimist idealists, and always have been, is that for me to see the downside, I need to see this upside, because the opposite of this is down here. And if this is where you are, how do I bring you up? How do I help you come up to this place where you're meant to be? So I get low, I get the shadow, I get the hurt, I get the trauma, I get all of that kind of thing. But by understanding this higher part is then my mission is to help guide them to help you get to that place of alignment so that you can feel that optimism and possibility and abundance that is yours. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're holding their possibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, here it
That's
is.
a great way to put it. Yeah.
You know,
That's right.
come
Yeah.
get this nugget of gold.
Right. Thank
This
you.
is
I really
possible
love
for
that. Holding your
you.
possibility.
Yeah, you're not gonna allow yourself to wallow in the doldrums with them. You're encouraging them. Come up, come up. It's really
Right.
beautiful here.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready today,
Yes,
I'll be
exactly.
here tomorrow. It's always the case because sometimes, again, it's speaking is one part of the communication, but if people aren't ready to hear it,
Oh, absolutely.
so it's like it's like parenting a kid. How many times you have to say something? It's 10,351 times, and maybe they got it right. Yeah, but yeah, it is holding the possibility of what is available. Is such a beautiful place to be. And human design does that for me. It really does that for me, like nothing else ever has.
Mm.
Any other questions or comments?
This was wonderful. Thank you, April.
You're
I
welcome.
agree.
You know, now
So
whenever
I'm
you
going.
get it posted, I'm gonna have to go back and take some more notes.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
want to do
I have
too.
several pages of notes already.
So is your head open as well?
Yeah, my head is, but my ajna's not. I'm defined there.
Okay, so
But I got that conversation you were saying about sometimes
yeah,
you just need to, you know,
yep.
not be around anybody for a little while and just, yeah,
It's time to sort out everything that got in here. Is a jumbled mess,
yeah,
and it's not time to sort it out when you're searching for it because it won't come to you.
right.
Guarantee it doesn't
When
come
you're
to
not
you.
paying attention, then that's when it'll happen.
Right,
Right.
right. So those of us that have that white center get that, which the defined center does. They don't have it's they can find it. They soar easier. It's consistent how it comes in. So in some ways it might be easier. I just think it's a lot more fun to be a mess up there.
Definitely that.
I need
So
you in the middle of the night when my head is doing that, you know?
I know it does that every time you're just about to go to sleep, and that happened. Like I had this great idea, and it's okay, April, remember it in the morning. So I rehearsed it a few times so that one day I remembered, the next time I didn't. So it'll come back with it. So, but good. I will get it. I will put it in the group, and I will probably redo it since there were so many mess ups with the going back and forth with the screen, but then I guess I'm human,
Didn't bother
so
me. So
No,
I'm
me
good with it.
either.
It's live. It's real. It was live.
it's all right. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'll make it live and
Yes.
real. But yeah, so thank you both for being here. It was nice to see both of you again.
Yeah,
Marianne, it's been way, way, way too
I
long.
know. I know. I'm gonna have to set up a call with you pretty soon, and so we can visit for
And
a little
just,
bit.
yeah, just do that. And Sue, it's been wonderful to see you again.
Yes, you too. You too. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
You
Thank you.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.